One second. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Community of Practices, very first session in the year 2025. Community of Practice, as you know, is a Grameen facilitated knowledge sharing community as well as a forum where we discuss very critical issues related to the BC industry and overall related to the financial inclusion. Today's session is on sustainability and business viability for sustainable business correspondent models. Our guest today is Mr. Ajay Desai, who is a co-founder of Sakav FinTech and is a graduate of IRMA, Anand. Ajay is an accomplished professional with over 25 years of experience in various sectors. He is a true entrepreneur and has been in the forefront of developing and driving innovative initiatives with large organizations, consistently achieving impactful results by leveraging his greatest asset, which is relationship capital. Ajay's guiding philosophy is, very interestingly, frugal innovations for financial inclusion. And this has been at the center of his approach, where he has utilized external partnerships to deliver financial services to underserved and underbanked communities. His trailblazing work includes Sakav, a platform designed to provide unsecured microloans to the missing middle market, as well as Yes Leap, an innovative Mudra loan program, and Yes Money, a domestic remittance platform for urban migrants. Additionally, Ajay was instrumental in launching Yes Sampan, India's first bank-led initiative offering unsecured loans to micro enterprises and to women entrepreneurs. He also played a pivotal role in ICICI Bank's microfinance development team, helping to transform 168 NGOs, non-government organizations, into full-scale microfinance institutions. With his expertise in change management, leadership development, and strategic planning, Mr. Desai has been a catalyst for sustainable and inclusive financial solutions, consistently pushing the boundaries of innovation in the financial inclusion sector. Welcome for today's session, Mr. Desai. I will also give a little overview about what today's session is about so as to put everybody in the context. The role of business correspondents in providing financial inclusion services to underserved communities has grown significantly in the recent years. We all know that. However, despite their essential contributions, BCs still face numerous challenges that hinder their sustainability and growth. These challenges include high operational costs, irregular cash flows, lack of financial literacy, and limited product offerings, primarily focused on cash in and cash out services. So one of the things that we keep on talking about, that how for sustainability diversification of portfolio is required, would be one of the primary focus for today's session. Among others, the discussion is going to focus on strategies that can ensure the long viability of BC models while keeping the services affordable and accessible to the communities. The questions today will actually will be focusing on various aspects of the BC model. So starting from the business modeling to the customer centricity to reaching the last mile by for and by the sellers, the market linkages, and most importantly, we keep on talking about this term sustainability. We keep on talking about the terms that terms like innovation. So I think one of the things that we will put our focus today, or there will be an underlying theme, is that whenever we talk about sustainability, it means different to different people, to different sectors. What is actually sustainability? What do we mean by sustainability when we talk about in the context of the BC industries? And when we talk about the strategies and the challenges, we also talk about the strategies and the mitigation strategies. We think about some of the strategies which are traditional, which might have worked in some of the sectors, in some geographies, with some kind of demographics, but might not be working so well in other in other coordinates, in other segments of the market, etc. So then we think about innovations. What could be innovative? What can we do innovatively, creatively, and together collectively to bring about solutions to the challenges that face the BC industry and the entire ecosystem. Today's session is going to be moderated by Mr. Saurav Singh. Saurav, we already know, is a senior project manager, very articulate, and has been a moderator for many of our forums. So I also want to welcome Saurav on the forum, Eco Platform, which is our knowledge sharing platform and where we hold virtual events, knowledge events, and learning events like webinars, workshops, fireside chats, like today's is. And yes, and I think I have already reclaimed my time and spoken a lot. Now it is over to Saurabh and to Mr. Desai. A round of loud applause for both of them, guys. Maybe virtual applause. Over to you, Saurabh. Thank you.
Thank you, Suparna. Thank you for this introduction of our esteemed guest today.
Okay.
No, select. Just give me a minute.
No, still
Yeah, sorry for the tech. You know, this Zoom, what it keeps happening. Somebody, you all at ground, we are working, joining from the same side, and this tech glitch happened. Sorry, it took a minute. So thank you, Suparna, for giving us this introduction about the session and about our team panel member. And thank you for also including me, although not many people know me on Echo. So I would like to start with. As Suparna sir, Ajay sir is one of the accomplished professional in the financial inclusion sector. Started and he has a degree from IRMA, which trains you to have more and more Professor Dr. Verghese in the India, because what he did for Amul, and I think IRMA and the professionals that graduated from that institute is being able to replicate the IRMA model to much more inclusive businesses like microfinance, inclusive businesses, financial services, even the larger organization, which when I think in around 20 years, 2 decades ago, they were focusing mostly on urban India. But when they decided to go for rural India, that's where the professional like Ajay sir has been very important in making, tweaking, and innovating for those solutions which are already existing in the financial services, but how they can serve poor better. It's just not I will give them okay, so because I'll give them, it's not a like reducing the ticket size or reducing the making it subsidizing it. No, they were financially but they are a financially commercially driven initiative, and they have scaled a lot. Like in his tenure he could convince 168 NGOs to go from NGO to MFI route. That's, I think, would have generated a huge amount of that would have provided a lot of capital to the people who really need. You have to understand that 15,000 ticket size back in 10 or 15,000 ticket size back 2 decades ago was very important for these small rural people, because that would have allowed them to start business. They would have scaled. Their family would have benefited from that. So I'm coming from that, and I also worked in microfinance. I started my career from my SKS microfinance, so I know how important it is. So I would when you started, when you graduated from Myanmar and when you joined ICICI Bank, how was the scenario then, and how you were able to contribute and ensure that you deliver commercially sustainable initiative in rural India? That's how I would like you to start. So you're on mute. So, unmute. Yes, sir. You unmute yourself. He's still on mute, no? Okay. Sorry, there's some he's joining again.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
some.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, there
Yes.
was some.
No,
I
no,
got disconnected.
no,
So
no.
now back with all of you.
Yes.
So first of all, thanks Saurabh and team for having me here. And this is a great initiative which I would love to be part of, not only for this one interactions, but perpetually as a whatever little I can contribute through my experience and learning, sharing. Okay, we are enriching the entire community in this effort.
Mhm.
So happy to be a part of this, playing a small role here. Now moving on to giving you the background of my career. So I say ki the IRMA education is like foundation of my career. Okay, and you know now foundation is typically something invisible. Others
Yes.
don't know. But the
Yes.
most important efforts and focus goes into building the foundation. If the foundation is strong, the building will be you can build a huge building there. Otherwise,
Yes.
you won't be able to. So I'm really from my heart, I'm grateful to Irma and Dr. Varghese Kurian, more specifically my faculty, who painstakingly built that foundation for all of us. So that was foundation. Then the first floor, I would say, is my 6 years of exposure into development sector.
Mhm.
And I say this with gratitude that had I joined ICICI Bank as a fresher from Irma, not only ICICI Bank, any banking sector organization, I might or not have able to contribute this much, which I was able to contribute after spending first 6 years in development sector, because I was able to get the first-hand experience of the challenges and the opportunities, the aspirations of rural people, work alongside them, and therefore somewhere I was in a better position than my other colleagues in the banking sector to contribute in a more innovative or more practical way, I should say. And uh, I would like to just give two small snippets of experience or my learnings from field before we move to a more formal discussion. So the first experience is from 1998, and I was volunteering for various NGOs in Udaipur while working as a full-time employee of Vidyabhavan KVK there. One
Mhm.
of the NGO I was volunteering was Prerna Samiti Goodly, and they have taken me to their farmers group. We never call them SHG or something, farming interest group, roughly a group, what you can say, informal group. That
Mhm.
was a group of about 30 men, not women group. And all they belong to Mali community. All they were doing was cultivating vegetables and selling in wholesale market in Udaipur. So because they are busy throughout the day, this meeting was happening at the night. And I was very excited that I will go and contribute something because of my agriculture knowledge as well as the IRMA degree. Okay, so I was sort of, how should I say, all excited, all charged up कि मैं आज तो कुछ अच्छा contribution करके आऊंगा. That was my first meeting with them. The meeting started. So everybody was coming back and paying their installments, etc. And
Mhm.
uh, all the 30 members will do calculation of the interest orally. Yeah?
Mhm.
And they will say, and typically everybody will get the numbers right, typically. Okay, but somebody
Mhm.
will get it wrong, then others will correct him like that. And thus the meeting was going on. So I was thinking, yeah, these guys don't know there is something like calculator exists. So the first
Mhm.
thing I should tell them after, towards the end of meeting, when we'll get to know that, I will tell them about calculator. Okay. So and the meeting progress, everything happened. So the meeting was almost towards the closing. And this guy who was secretary writing the minutes, etc., and the accounts, and he was having a bag in front of him, a cotton bag.
Mhm.
Towards the end, this fellow just withdrew one calculator from it and did the calculations once again, all the calculations once again, checked it, just took 5 minutes for him, and they said, okay, all set, all sorted out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after when my turn came for talking to them, so I asked, yeah, you have calculator, then why you are doing all this rigmarole of everybody reciting what is the exact number, somebody getting it wrong and you correcting? So they give me a beautiful answer, sir. They said, our business happens when the agent there, like we take our vegetables in wholesale to sell in the mandi, and everybody of us has got some agents. So actually the agent is the one who is facilitating the trade in front of us, but we as farmers are not allowed to speak there. He is our representative.
Mm-hmm.
So when the deal is going on, we need to do quick calculations. If for this particular lot, how much money I am getting? So what is the per kg rate I am getting, or how much money I am getting from my farm in that plot particular? Suppose it's a Simla Mirch plot. Okay. To do that, our mathematics need to be very quick. And therefore, this is like a practice session for us.
So now picking on to your mathematics part only.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just sorry. I just want to pick a just the same thing. This is interesting. I think we can start with that. It's like if you in India, microfinance arrived around 97, BC model officially came around around 2006 after the
Yeah.
RBI circular, and then it would stayed for like not it didn't expanded much, mostly bank driven till 2012 or 13. Post that, after the white label, and I know you worked in Spice Money, that has, and then it like exploded. So I want to see, and you have seen that growth. So what do you think? How, if you have to define in terms of numbers, and how do you define the sustainability of the BC model? What is important? What are the three important criteria if you have to consider to define the sustainability of the BC? I'm going into the direct question now. What are the 3 or 4 things that you think is important, which has to be there when you're defining sustainability for BC model? Because we have been discussing 10 things, but I want to know 4
Sure, sure.
things based on your experience.
Yeah, yeah. So typically now, in the BC model, if we keep customer as an outsider for few minutes, then typically we will have 3 stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
The bank
Mm-hmm.
is one stakeholder. The person who is delivering the services as BC agent is another stakeholder. And the BC entity in between, the legal entity, the corporate, will be the third stakeholder. Okay, this is the typical constituents of the BC model, we should say, irrespective of with this credit BC, transaction BC, or ATM type of BC. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what we used to say in Yes Bank is that, and which is not just Yes Bank, it's a generic truth. The model should be, any model to scale, it should be win-win-win model.
Mm-hmm.
Means all these 3 stakeholders should benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, what happened in the initial days of BC model, mainly the lead was taken honestly by the public sector banks. Be it because of RBI push, because of government prodding, but they led the initiative. Okay, back then between 2006 to 2009-10, not much of was done by the private sector banks. Okay. Unfortunately, there was a problem. The most of the senior management, I'm not saying all, but most of the senior management was looking at this as a win-win loss proposition. I mean, they used to say the BC agent is winning because he's getting some remuneration sitting at his village. So he's earning some income, reasonably good, that he's not leaving this particular work and going into city and doing something else. So he's getting a not very attractive, but some reasonable compensation. The BC entity, BC company, earlier it was BC NGOs, but subsequently when companies were allowed, is also earning a modest sum because they are continuing in this business and they're making at least some modest profit. But they used to say that all this is happening at the cost of bank. Because bank is paying to both these entities on a cost plus model.
Oh.
And bank is not getting remunerated to that extent from the business that they are doing. So if you define sustainability in that limited sense of economic sustainability and economic sustainability of that particular activity, what these bankers were thinking was right. I will not question that. Because if you look at, see, these BCs were doing small time transactions for small people and the cash withdrawal transactions. Hardly any cash deposit transaction on which bank was not making any much money in any case. Okay. But in one such workshop where these public sector bankers were complaining about non-sustainability of the model, Dr. K.C. Chakravarti, who was then DG, pointed out to a good point. He said, this amount, the losses there you are making on BC model, he asked everybody, you tell me what is the number of loss amount you have lost on BC model. He says, operating cost. So every bank gave a number. They said, do you notice these amounts which you told me are less than 1% of your annual profit? Okay, and this was before the CSR mandate era. I'm talking about 2009 or 10 something. So it's less than 1% of your annual profit. So why you look at this as a loss? Look at this as an investment for building the capacity of that segment, which you cannot afford to make. Your staff cannot go and service them directly in any case. On the contrary, suppose these people start, if the model is not there, because these people start flooding your branches, then your staff will not be able to handle the workload. They are already overworked, I know, in rural areas, so they will not be able to handle. So why you are considering them as outsiders, literally treat them as your extended hands. And then, because the amount is as small as compared to the total profit there you are earning, and because the outcome you are getting indirectly, not in monetary terms, is great, please continue with this model.
So, sir, I want to pick on this thing. I like this WW win-win-win model. This is really good. I think this is very important from a sustainability perspective, that all the three entities should be commercial driven initiative.
Yes,
So
yes.
now what operation challenges that you see for every of the stakeholder? What operation challenges banks face, PCNM face, and BC face? Just to for the in terms of sustainability of the business. So just quick answer on this. What type of operational challenges? All the entity wise that you. So if we have to make a WWW model, what the challenges?
Yeah. So I'm right now focusing more on rural areas. Okay. I'm not saying inclusion is not a requirement in urban areas, but urban is relatively better of urban area, relatively scale. So whatever discussion or points I'm making, it's more relevant for the rural areas. So the obvious challenge in rural area is the population in the vicinity of a BC is limited. Okay. And within that population also, their economic activity, their scale of economic activity is also limited. Much smaller than their counterparts in urban areas. Okay. So a rural BC agent cannot achieve economies of scale by doing just few type of services. But there is no sufficient population and sufficient demand for him. So what rural BC need to do is achieve an economy of scope. To the limited population, he should offer more services, because he cannot get more people to serve. The population is already defined for that village. So if he is able to offer more services, and by more services, I say first step we can look at expanding the bouquet within the financial services, then adding the adjoining services of insurance, which is more like a broader part of financial services only, and then looking at even non-financial services to achieve that economies of scope. That is how the BC will be able to sustain himself or flourish himself. And obviously, a well-sustaining, well-flourishing BC will serve the community better.
I think this is the one of the most interesting concept ever in my like whatever I've interacted is don't focus on economy of scale, but economies of scope.
Oh,
That's the
because you won't
precise
be able
that
to achieve scale. Ideally,
yes.
honestly, in normal course, we always talk about economies of scale in any
Hmm.
manufacturing company, any unit, everywhere. But in this particular scenario, we don't have the freedom or luxury to have economies of scale. So now instead, let us focus on economies of scope.
Okay, now so the I have now this next question sir, this is like everybody know this is a fact that 80% of the business at the BC point is actually Kiko business. And then we
Yeah.
are talking about increasing the economies of having the economies of scope. I think is there any resistance or what are these why nobody's thinking about economy of scope? Why everybody want people to do more and more transaction? Even BC will tell you, okay, you need to withdraw 3,000 rupees, withdraw in 2 or 3 transactions. So so what are preventing them from diversifying their service offering? How can they overcome this?
Okay. So to be very honest, BC is less empowered person. The BC agent is least empowered to overcome this.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being, he is a mere channel to deliver these services. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody senior in the bank or somebody senior in the BC company should think about it
Hmm.
and provide these services as a bouquet to him. And I know players like Spice Money, Pay Nearby, they have done various pilots. May
Mm-hmm.
not be on a big scale to offer like insurance services or other financial services like pension, gold coins, etc. And even some experiments have been done moving towards e-commerce. To extend this further, some people have done reverse e-commerce also. They have allowed some business to procure from rural areas and sell those products to urban areas. So scale is very less as compared to the main BC business, Kiko business. But such initiatives are happening, which is a good thing. But unfortunately, the BC agent on his own may not be able to think through this and implement it on his own. We need to empower him with these
Okay, that
ideas
is
as
where
well as
sorry, that is where our project innovation comes. This COP is actually part of the testing innovation in BC channel with the
yeah.
support of Gates Foundation. We are actually working with smaller with couple of BCNM partner to push for those incentive, test the new product, and if
Uh,
and then we will work with the industry stakeholders and to disseminate our learnings so that more and more BCNMs that will have a ready reckoner sort of toolkit and the results. So there is a business case that will demonstrate it to a project. So I think that is where I think we are going right. This is to validating that yes, we are going the right direction.
sure.
So
Uh,
so just give me a minute, huh?
so, for example, I
Yes.
will give you one example here. And again, this is very pertinent
Yeah.
as an insight.
Hi, I just, I know all the questions should be asked at the end of the
No,
session,
cannot,
but
cannot,
I
cannot.
just could not keep myself. I think this when we're talking about this economy of scope,
Hmm.
we are talking about innovations and strategies, what needs to be done. I think one of the challenges, as Saurabh was talking about it, what are the challenges? I think one thing, Saurabh, you might agree, might not agree, is that there might be some gaps in the skills.
Hmm.
The workforce might have some capacity gap over there. So maybe because of that, so one of the challenges, to me it seems like that could be one of the challenges which keeps the BC agents from not focusing on the non-Kiko products or not trying to diversify the portfolio. So what would be your views on this, Ajay?
Uh, will you please repeat it for me once? I just missed some part of it. Hello, Dr. Suparna, please repeat the question. I missed the full question.
Okay, so I was saying that when we talk about that, instead of thinking about the economy of scale in the rural areas, the BC agents should rather focus on the economy of scope. But we see that one of the challenges facing the BC industry today or the ecosystem today is that is not happening. And about like 80% of the business is from the Kiko business, right? Cash in, cash out business. So when we have to list out the reasons for that, is it right or is it fair to think that it is happening because there is some training and capacity gap or some skill gap that the rural BC agent doesn't have? So it is not that his understanding or his or her understanding of the matter is not there. He or she would like to diversify the portfolio. That kind of sensitization or awareness creation has been done by the various, the BCNMs, for example. But even then, the focus has been more on creating the awareness and sensitization, but not so much in upskilling the BC agents. So if that is correct, I'm not saying I'm right in thinking that. I would like, if that is the right direction that I'm taking, then what would you suggest would be the right kind of upskilling that needs to be done for the rural BC agents so that they would rather focus on the economy of scope but not on the scale?
Okay.
That is my
Uh,
question.
got the point. So I will urge you to look at this matter from a different perspective that I'm looking. This perspective may not be correct, but let me just put forward a different perspective to this. Okay. Typically in India, no matter which is the bank or which is the BC company through which they are associated, only 10% of the BCs are depending on BC business as their only source of livelihood. Okay. Remaining 90% of the BC business is one part of their basket of livelihood, which may be contributing 20%, 30%, even 50%, we don't know. But they definitely have one or more other major sources of livelihood. Okay. This itself shows that the concept of economies of scope, though we have not explained to him, 90% BCs are already practicing that economies of scope already, right? Only thing is that in his remaining livelihood opportunities, we, the learned people who have ensured one pipeline of livelihood opportunity to him, we are not contributing anything to his other pipeline of opportunities, livelihood opportunities.
So just coming on to this the same part, do you really
Yeah.
think like initiative like merchant loans or maybe his secure and unsecured merchant loan, maybe lending, more insurance services, will that be a larger hook? Because this will contribute to his main business, which
Mhm.
will pick up and will in turn have a cascading effect on the BC business. Is my this assumption right? Or I just want to pick your brain on that.
See, two things. Why? There are two things which are working well in rural India, right? One is
Yes.
microfinance and second is cash out. But because these are the pull services, these are demanded. The demand is what you can say very well articulated and openly expressed. Yeah, I know this, and because these are critical needs, people are willing to pay premium for it, pay for it. Okay. But let us take one example. And again, I will go to the first pilot between Yes Bank, Bajaj Finance, and we were just the facilitator between Bajaj Alliance General Insurance and SKS, our major client back there, for launching credit life insurance. And the field team of SKS was strongly against it. Strongly against. They said, no, the business will stop, this will happen, etc. And so 1-2 months this went on, and then their president Dilli Raj said, okay, I heard all your arguments. Now I'm putting down my feet. For next 3 months, I will pay to every staff all the incentive he has earned as an average of last 3 months. He will get, whether he does business or not. So now you don't complain me if I start micro insurance, my credit life, my insurance incentive will go down. No, you will get the incentive. That is how we push the business micro insurance business, credit life business back then in 2010, 11, I guess. That was the year. And now, if you pretend yourself to be a microfinance loan officer and go to any village in India and say, I am from a new microfinance institution and I'm here to give you loan, the woman will not ask you what is your interest rate. Their first question will be, are you giving insurance also? If you are giving insurance, then only we will take loan from your institution, otherwise we will not take. So such a change has happened in 10, 12 years. The reason being, the women were back then were not knowing that there is some product like insurance which can cover the risk, because they have not exposed or they were not having that knowledge. Once they tested that product, they realized that this product has got great importance in my life. So there are many other products like this which are of significant importance. For example, even now, rural people, there is a tendency in rural areas, vehicles without even insurance. But the moment they have to go on a longer tour, maybe two-wheeler, four-wheeler, they will start searching for some agent who can quickly give them insurance.
Yes, yes.
Because they realize, yes, in my village, the risk of I having any accident and hurting myself or other is less, not zero, but much low. But if I am going on longer tour, the risk is much severe. So that once you have an appropriate product and you demonstrate the product to some small population, the news spreads like wildfire. Okay, this is a good product, this is a beneficial product for us. And then there will be demand.
Okay, sir, there's in this thing I want to say we are talking about capacity and training challenges for the basic. So now I'm assuming market is there. You have developed a very good market. Market is there. People know about the product, and there's a need for the product. Professional like you have worked on a financial product, given it to has designed it, keeping the women or the people in the rural areas is the center, but it has to be sold through BC. So what incentive mechanism that works for it? So there are three things to it. He sells the first of all, he sells it. You will be able to and you are able to retain the BC. So these are the retention plus yeah.
So again, what I would say, now let us look the other way around. I'm not saying no study has been done, but we should Grameen should take initiative in this to do a study. See, I will be very honest here. See, typically now we prefer those BCs who are doing BC work as 100% of their time, and every BC company tries to acquire more of such BCs or convert such BCs. They will always think what I can do so that this fellow will stop other business, quote unquote, and do only BC work. But the lack of economies of scope will not allow him to do. So what instead we need to do is, we have to look at from a different perspective, look at what the other income avenues my BCs are currently following. What are the livelihood options they are using to complement his BC work? Okay, and see, those two are working on a, what you can say, open market model, commercial model, right? They suppose he's selling some grocery items. There is some distributor who is offering, delivering those grocery items to him, or he once in a month or once in a week, he might be locking down his shop, going to the city and buying those. And he may make some small loss here and there, but over the time, obviously, he's doing it because he's profitable. So yes, we need to understand all existing models and look at how we can improve that. Again, I will take an example of a startup here, which is called Elastic Run.
Yes.
Right? So they have done a wonderful good model. They have tapped about 6 lakh plus small rural stores. Yes. And these are those stores who don't get free delivery from the distributor. Yes. These are very small stores. So these guys said, okay, you are not getting delivery from distributor. I will ensure that you get the delivery. Provided you engage with me, use my app and start giving me orders. And that is now that is changing the face. Those people who used to lock down shop one day in a week to buy supplies, now they are getting supplies there. Plus, their margin has increased significantly because these guys are also offering discount to them. They are offering some credit facilities.
Yeah. So this is where I think this is very interesting concept. I am a BC. I have a shop where I sell my FMCG product or the small in the rural store, and I have a machine
Yeah,
through a pay nearby or some BCNM where I go and withdraw money. So that's actually not my business, BC. I get 10 or 15% of my income from that. But if you really have to make me viable, if you really have to add a lot of value to me, you have to add value to the 85% of the business, which is actually my main business, and then
yeah,
that will help us. Yeah, you're right. A lot of I think we can all agree that rather than just because there are limited number of people in the villages, they will can only make fixed amount of limited number of
mm,
transactions
mm,
because
mm.
of balances. So yeah, I think that was very good. Now, so we are talking about building both things. How do you think that digital technologies which are emerging will they be able to bring efficiency and cost efficiency into this?
Definitely yes, definitely. Again, building on the same logic, I will continue with the story connecting this economies of scope concept. So at Spice Money, we had launched one pilot called Bada Bazaar.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it was a digital catalog in a physical store concept. So our BC was able to showcase some products on his mobile to the customer, potential customer, and take orders from him for those products. And we had developed a supply chain to deliver those products. So there was one interesting observation. We had a range of three categories of LED bulbs. One was exactly the numbers I don't remember, but just let's say one is a 10 watts bulb, another was a 15 watts bulb, and there was another 25 watts bulb, a bright bulb. Okay. And
Mhm.
almost all orders were coming for 25 watt bulb and nothing for the 10 watt bulb, hardly few orders for the 15 watt bulbs. So out of curiosity, when we went to market, we checked with the villagers and our agents also. Okay, why is so? So they said कि सर वो 10 वाट का बल्ब तो हमें गांव में मिलता है, इवन बहुत सारे गवर्नमेंट के स्कीम में वो फ्री भी मिला है.
Okay.
One second, just give me a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, but they said कि this 25 watt bulb is not available here in our village. So earlier we used to tell our relatives coming from city to bring such high power bulbs. Okay. Then next question, why you need these high power bulbs? So two applications came out. Very important one. First, they said कि if the bulb is high, these 10 watt bulbs are not sufficient for our children to study during night. Because the light is good for other work, cooking, etc., not sufficient for study. This high power bulb is very useful for them studying. They don't strain their eyes. Second, early morning when we go to our cattle shed for feeding the cattle or drawing milk, there is always a risk of some serpent lurking around.
Yes.
Again, same problem ki with small wattage bulb, we are not able to see it. But there is a big bright light, spotting that risk is easy. So therefore, we are getting all those orders.
Okay. So now I want to open. This is really insightful how a clearly articulated good product insight actually only why the product picked up. because the demand is there and you provided it, and people will and the customer will like it. So now I want to open the floor for people to ask questions. So yeah, if anybody has a question before we go into our final section, I want to open it. Yeah, anyone have any question? Please ask question to Ajay sir. Go ahead.
Okay. So, one, that was really very insightful, especially about the serpent thing that you talked about. So, that clearly shows one of the things that the need analysis that we do, we always do the market research and the need analysis, but maybe something gets lost in the translation, So, I think that is very important. And that comes out to me, jumps out of that, the need analysis, and then thinking of what all needs that could be there. So that is definitely a good point. But my question of now is more about on the impact side. So when we have talked about the market, how to increase, how to do the scaling, how to introduce innovations, etc., and how to do a market research, need analysis that will actually add to the both the sustainability and the economic viability of the BC model. Now my question is, like the end of it, like all that we want to see, all that donors would like to see, is how much impact you have created in the development sector, right? We are in the development sector. It's just we need, just not only about numbers of products that we have sold. It is also about the impact that has been created. So, for example, so the way Saurav was asking you about what is sustainability, in the context of the BC industry, I would like to ask you, how would you define the impact? जब हम बोलते हैं ना कि this has been very impactful, this particular BC model, this particular innovative strategy has been very impactful. So, what, in your words, would be impact in the context of the BC industry? It could be when you're, for example, you're talking about we introduce new technologies. Say we introduce artificial intelligence, machine learning in dealing with, say, grievances of the customers, because customer centricity is also one of the pivotal things that we should focus on. That might, you can say that one of the impacts could be it reduces time, it reduces operational costs, it increases accuracy. So this could be interpreted various ways. So my question in long and short is, what according to you, Ajay, would be impact of a successful and sustainable BC model?
Okay. Again, a slight flip to this question, I would say, any product which is scaling on its own, on a big way, is impactful product, because we may not be measuring its impact, but somebody is feeling that impact. That's why he's patronizing the product. Here, I will give you an example of our Yes Money product. So, Yes Money was launched about 12 years after Yes Bank came into existence. Okay, so 12 years, a big bank with about 700 branches and about 3,000 sales force was selling multiple products. Obviously, for a bank, the most common product is saving account. Okay, but we had not reached 1 lakh saving account back then. And Yes Money was the first product to cross 1 lakh accounts, 1 lakh customers, then 5 lakh customers. Eventually, we had at least 2 million plus customers on Yes Money. And that was because, see, this facility, this offering was bridging a critical gap or providing a critical service which was well needed by the rural to urban migrant population that is sending money home. And see, now the IMPS is there everywhere. Okay. So our agent also uses IMPS to send money. But back then when we started, it was NEFT. And those were the days when Saturday, Sunday, NEFT will be closed.
Yes.
Okay. Still, Friday evening, we used to get lot of money payments at our agent point. So we, because that was a new product, we used to always call up customers, chat with them, go and meet them to understand. So in one particular year, with an agent in Dharavi who used to get lot of money on the Friday night, I went and sat at his place and I said, I want to meet your customers, why they are depositing money on Friday. When they know, first thing I asked them, do they know that the money will be available to their relatives only on Monday? So yes. So then why they are depositing? So when I was talking to YSN, he said, sir, in one small 10 by 10 hutment, we 12 people stay together. And we don't have any place to place our money. We keep it in underwear, literally. So the only way to make the ensure that money is safe is to go and deposit there. Let it go to and typically what I do, 90% of money I send home after paying for my rent and food, the monthly bills. 90% money I send home. Sometimes I ask for money from my family, reverse. But I don't keep money here because safekeeping money is difficult. So though I know that money will be available to them on Monday, at least I am assured that money will not be stolen.
Stolen. So I think
So
Arpit has
yeah.
Arpit has hands up. He has some question. Arpit?
Good morning, sir. Nice to see you, sir. One thing I wanted to understand was like, as if we have several products and services for BCs, but BCs they are like used to using say APS withdrawals. So how to ensure that BC uses the host of products and services, because from years on they have been doing only one thing, so most of the other services don't get adopted, although they would be really good.
Again, Arpit, I think it's more about economic rationale. So it is a open secret that BCs get some tip for facilitating the APS service.
Right, sir.
Okay, so their total earning from one APS transaction, though the visible part may be less, the total earning is good.
Absolutely,
Okay.
sir.
So if other services are not matching that, he will not do it. It is like you and me now. If we have to put our money in FD, we also choose which is the bank which is giving highest returns.
True,
Because
sir.
we are all rational human beings. So the BC agent is also rational.
So, but it's like I need to know that there are mutual funds, there are equity linked options.
But we have to look at that economics. If that economics, suppose, if his total earning is 40 rupees and here it is just 10 rupees, then it will not much add up. Okay.
Right, sir.
And in all product, obviously, we may not be able to create that. But
True.
there can be some other kind of incentives which can draw them to some products. For example, may not be very appropriate example, but we were running one project in Spice Money for providing services to, access to online education for BC family, lady family members of BC. So some agent found it very useful. Many didn't test it, tried it at all, but some agents were very gaga about it. My sister is learning something new, sitting at home, like that. So the non-financial incentive may differ from person to person, but we can always create some.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Ajay, Saurav, I would love to ask
Yeah.
Ajay a question, to pick his brain on something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ajay, hi, this is Rahul Dubey here. I am the director for the project Testing Innovations for the BC channel that is hosting the discussion here. Just would love to have your insight into a couple of things that I would love, I have. One is, are we focusing too much of the business correspondent as being only a delivery of financial services? And second part of this is, like you said, are we looking at scoping him at the scope? Because that's an omni channel which has already been developed and it's there in almost every village in India,
Yes.
right? So covers the 6 lakhs villages, 2,75,000 panchayats, everywhere it is present. Have we thought why is it that in silos companies have done it? In silos, companies have done it, that they have
Yes.
tried the different experiments, and in silos they are successful also. But
Bilkul.
why is that model not being replicated, and why is this channel not being looked at as a omni channel for delivery of multiple services, not only the banking or the financial services.
True,
So would
sir.
love to have your insight on that.
Yeah, sir. So what I think now, a part of this blame goes to RBI, who initiated this model, because RBI typically they are very pragmatic as a regulator, but yeah, typically they will say, ki, I would like to have a dedicated channel only for financial services. So that thought process over the time got ingrained in all stakeholders across the line. So वो थोड़ा challenge हो जाता है, but आपने सही point
So
बताया.
I just to ask a question here. Like you
Yeah.
said, almost only 10% are the dedicated channels. The rest are
Yes.
all Kirana stores working as
Yes,
this
yes.
channel.
Multi
Right. So
service.
the concept, the thought process of RBI is already defeated there.
Yes, I
Right.
know.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
That thought process is already defeated.
Defeated. Yes.
And when we are talking about making it an omni-channel, we are talking about it's not even a competitive thing because it's a different product and services completely. So
Sir,
there is no conflict of interest also,
yes, I
which
agree. And
which the public sector banks keep talking about,
yes, and omni-channel
right?
makes a lot of sense because you have already connected that person by a digital highway. He already has
Exactly.
got a instrument, maybe just mobile phone and an internet connection. So he's as good as connected with all of us. So
Yeah.
that
So
digital highway
if
is
we look at
there.
it, most of them have the laptops. Majority
Yes,
of them would
yes,
have the laptops or the
yes,
POS
yes,
devices.
yes, yes,
Mobile is a recent invention.
yes, yes. So we should actually, I'm saying we as India together, all of us should actually leverage that connection, not only unidirection trade, other year, but even bi-directional means facilitating sale of some items from rural areas to urban areas. Fully agree, sir. That is a part of making providing him economies of scope, which is beneficial for the BC agent as well as for the rural community.
And further leading to economy of scale also.
Yes, 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 sir. Yes, sir. It
Correct?
will. Yes, very true. When we look at the
Right.
nation as a whole, it will achieve the economies of scale as well. Very true.
Exactly. See, like when I'm talking about silos, when I was in Fino, this is 2009, 10. We were selling insurance there, and we were
Yes,
selling
sir.
solar lamps out of that channel, and we were
True,
doing very
true.
good business there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Makes sense.
It's actually a very good discussion, but I have to ask one more. I have to ask like last is like we are in the end section. I would ask. So everybody that picking on the discussion that we have so far, everybody wanted to innovate for the client. Everybody want their BCs to be more viable and sustainable. I have just one more observation, and I think are we coming together as an industry to solve for that, or we just solving as a player? Because if you look for every industry that has that wanted to expand, I always give this example: mutual fund industry. They came up with mutual fund sahi hai. They came up with a certification process at the industry level. You certify and you do it. Why don't we have the similar thing for the BC industry? And where we are, where I think, why don't we have a comprehensive certification framework for BC? Still, currently, the BC industry certificate is you have to go to Bird or somewhere where you don't get a date for like
Yeah, the
7 or 8 months.
process is very difficult and honestly speaking, not very practical for a rural youth.
Yes. So I'm saying, why don't we have like this is the curriculum, you do it online or physical,
Yes.
you go to the center, just give the exam and we'll give you, or maybe there's some other way, more customized way of doing exam. So why don't we have that? It's really, and I always give this example,
Yes.
it's about mutual funds.
All of us, the learned people, policy makers, decision makers in this surrounding the BC industry, we should introspect on this. Very great,
Yes.
great point, Saurabh. Are we being BC agent, are we making it easier for him? Are we enabling him, or we are making difficult for him by changing rules and regulations, by putting some stipulations and difficult to achieve certifications? Are we really facilitating or hindering it? And that example, Saurabh, you gave of mutual fund or LIC is a really great example. Look at how LIC has created its agents in nooks and corners of India, even damn interior rural areas also. Okay, because they made the process simple.
Yes. So I think this is where it will be good if industry stakeholders
Yes,
and
yes, yes, yes,
we
yes.
can contribute, because we really see that, because we interact with BCNM, small and
True, true,
BCNM,
true.
we interact with BC, and we see this is something, this is the we really
Uh,
have to make a BC channel known. We should be focusing
yeah,
on
yeah.
this.
But
So
uh,
this is
somewhere, I think the reason is, though may not be the 100%, but one major reason I will tell you. The insurance companies, mutual fund in companies and insurance companies look at their agents as their assets. कि यही लोग हैं जो मेरा धंधा कर रहे हैं, how I empower them. Unfortunately, bank leadership look at BC agents as liability, not asset. That is
yes,
the problem.
that is the thing. So I think
हाँ,
we are at the end of the session now. It has been really good. So I would, if anybody has any question, they can ask, or I'm handing over now to Supana.
This is your last chance, everybody, to ask questions.
or by that
Ajay ji,
also we can discuss
Uh,
subsequently.
Ajay ji, can I just ask you
okay,
one more question?
so I think this is the
Yeah,
time
somebody is
we wrap
asking
Suparna,
up. But
question.
one of the vital
Suparna,
things, we did not
Suparna,
touch upon
I
today
am
was
just
about
asking Ajay ji a
gender.
question.
एक मिनट हाँ Suparna,
Yeah,
Raul sir is asking some
Sorry,
question.
sorry. I was silenced.
yeah,
So yeah,
Suparna, yeah.
okay, sorry, yeah.
So, Ajay ji, what is your take on this new notification which has come from RBI that even the retail BCs need to be registered and by IIBF?
सर वही
Because
बोल
now
रहा
it's going
था
to
मैं.
be a major mess because anyway we don't
Yeah,
have dates
yeah,
for
yeah.
almost a year.
See, sir, कैसे है देखिए, progressively we should relax things, not make
Correct,
it
correct.
complicated, and especially
True.
when have we proven, have we done any study कि certification has actually helped, or because the lack of certification something has happened, frauds have happened, right? So there is this
Correct.
somebody is just putting out circular and making it difficult for everybody.
I know, seriously, because it's something like which I was discussing with Sunil Kulkarni also, it was like any private portal,
Uh,
any retail portal has at least
uh,
4 banks at the back end. So
yes,
which bank is he
and
going to
you
be
have to
registered
keep
with?
that. Yes, sir, you have to keep it because you never know whose pipe will go down which day.
Exactly, exactly. Uh, uh, Thanks a lot, Ajay ji, because it's been a pleasure, hearing you. I would love to pick your brain sometime
No, sure,
and,
sir.
discuss.
Absolutely.
Chaliye. So, right. Thanks a lot. Suparna,
Thank
over to
you.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that time, my laptop was on silent, so I could not hear that there was a conversation going on, and I started talking. Okay, so I wanted to ask a question before you, and that will be the wrap up question for the day. As you know, Grameen focuses a lot on gender, women, basically, right? So we always have a women related question. We understand that, even
Sure.
for the SDGs, as you see, that
Mhm.
woman gender is an underlying theme for any of
Mhm.
the development goals that we are trying to reach globally as well. So when you're talking about, you talked about the asset and liability treatment, given by different sectors to the BC
Mhm.
agents. My question is, there could be a lot of gender questions, but to cut it short, to keep it short and sweet, my question is, when you talk about the differential treatment, do you think there is a differential treatment given to the BC agent depending on the BC agent's gender? Like the BC
Uh,
agent, when we are talking about as an asset, is
mhm.
a male BC agent an asset, but the female BC agent is not thought of or
No,
perceived
no,
as
no.
that?
I guess
Is
not.
there some
Rather,
difference in that?
yeah. Rather, to be very honest, as a company, when I was working in Spice Money, we were keen. We should get more women BC agents. And I would remind you of a very wonderful ad that we had created called भानु की दुकान. वो अभी लिंक्डइन या किसी इसमें भी होगा, आप जरूर देखिए. ठीक है, तो मैं basically the concept was that one man comes from city for withdrawing, and he has to withdraw cash urgently in village areas, and he's saying, asking people, तो they said कि भानु की दुकान पे जाओ, भानु की दुकान पे जाओ. So when he goes to भानु की दुकान, he's pleasantly surprised to see भानु is a lady, not a man. ठीक है, and she handles his transaction very smoothly, and
Right.
that is a great team. And that idea, one of our marketing team member came up during the field visit after seeing me. He also had a sort of similar. So obviously, as an advertisement, we'll make it more dramatized.
Right.
But we experience a lady BC agent handling the transaction much more efficiently than a man agent can do. And even the customers treating her with respect and yes. So we after that really ran a campaign to increase the participation of women BC agents. So this is an area we will be very happy to have more women BC agents out there.
Okay, that's very inspiring and very hopeful. And I would like to end today's session on that note. I want to thank everybody who attended today and who asked questions, who did not ask questions but would like to send us questions via email, via phone, and we will make sure that we send all these questions to Ajay and pick
Yes,
his
yes.
brain.
And let's
Rahul
keep
has
the
already
dialogue
said,
going.
has booked you, saying that he's going to pick your brain. We all are planning to pick your brain a lot in this. I would like to remind once again about the community of practice that we run. It is a part of this innovations project in Grammy, and this is a forum. It's a knowledge sharing forum, and we also co-create, reports, white papers, and knowledge papers on this. We already have done one with Pay Nearby. It is on the gender gap. It's called a gender gap report, and sometime back it had its release, and there was a wide coverage done by multiple media houses. So we look forward to your active participation, not only in our sessions, online sessions like this, but also in our offline sessions, panel discussions, and in the co-creation of industry reports. So with that, I will now pass over. Actually, there's a little bit of ritual that is left. We take pictures of everybody, and so put on your best smiles, switch on your cameras, and our comms department key person, Miss Preetha Banerjee, will take this forward. Thank you so much, and may I compliment you, Ajay, on your glorious smile. It's gorgeous. Thank you.
Hi, so everyone who's present, can I please request you to, look at the camera and say cheese? And I think there are a couple of other people because I can see we have 16 participants, and I just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. So if the others can please switch on the cameras as well. Okay, come on, I know there are others. Switch on your cameras, please.
It's okay, Prita. Some people may not be in a position to switch on cameras, might be in field or something. So whosoever is there, let's take it.
Okay, all right. So just give me a minute. All right, so like 3, 2, 1, say cheese. Yep, thank you.
Thank you so much. We have our next session on eco platform on compliance and regulation. That will be around January 30th or 31st. You will get to hear from us very soon then. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And good day, everyone.